by name's Pastor Israel Mivule. I'm a Ugandan and I'm a missionary. By the grace of God, I've moved around different nations. Even I went to Europe, more in Germany. I was in Berlin. I've been doing the work of God, but I just want to thank God for His experience that so far I've encountered in my personal walk with the Lord. Like in the year 2005, I remember I was doing business and I had a shop where I used to sell phones and accessories. And in that business, as a young believer, I loved praying. I loved staying long time with God. And the more I become closer with God, setting apart myself with to seek His face, it reached a moment when the Lord started speaking to me that, Israel, I did not create you to do the kind of business you are doing. He could show me in the visions and the dreams how people were suffering, people were sick, and He could point to me that this is the reason why I brought you on earth, to minister to my people, to bring healing, to bring deliverance to my people. But being a young minister, I hated to be in a full-time ministry, because I had seen how pastors were suffering with the means of living the life of faith without any work. It was not easy for them to get something to eat. So I said, no, God, let me first do business and I acquire some money, much money. Maybe I build my personal house. Then I will join the ministry. Or I can just let me work out some money. I will just bring money to the ministry and other people go on preaching. So God could leave me for some time, but after some time, the Spirit of the Lord could come back with a heavy conviction, and I could hear a voice of God speaking and say, Israel, Israel, I did not create you to do what you are doing. We were on earth for a purpose. I created you for people who are suffering. And I could argue with him. I said, no, first leave me to do business. So it took me like 2 years when I was rebellious over the voice of God, because I had gained some good money as a young man, and I used to invest in the kingdom of God. Everywhere they could go for preaching the gospel, I could invest a lot of money. But I did not want to do what God was telling me. So that was the time when I had, after the Lord had spoke to me a long time and I had refused, I had a hand, like a human hand, scratching my brain, and as something wiping out all my understanding from my brain. And this experience started slowly, but it continued and continued. But the more it continued, every time I could hear a human hand scratching my brain, and the more it happened, I felt pain over my brain. And every time I had headache, I felt headache, pain, and it took long, like from 1 month, 2 months. This happened daily. And I said, what happened to me? By that time, I was not like hearing the voice of the Lord. And it was a time when I felt God was far from me, like a rebellious person. So,
did you feel the hand or only here?
Yeah, only in the brain. That's where
you felt it in the brain.
In the brain,
okay.
Like a human hand scratching my brain like this.
And then you heard the scratching.
The scratching every moment, like somebody touching my brain and squeezing something out of my brain. So it was a painful moment. So at that same time, after some time when that happened, I lost memory. I could not remember something that has just happened in 2 minutes. If something happens in 2 minutes and you ask me what has happened, I could not remember. So I lost my memory. I lost all the things I knew. I lost them. You could come and ask me, what was this and this? How much did you bought that phone? I could not remember. So when that continued, I became a mad person. But by that time, it was so painful. I had lost my memory, and there was a smell that could come like a rotten, something which is rotten. There's something smelling bad coming out of my mouth, and even the breath I was breathing had no life. I don't know if people can understand what this experience, the breath we are breathing, it has life, and it's so good when you breathe out. You feel like it is so good as you breathe out and breathe in. You feel good, but at that time, my breath had no life, and it was like painful. As I breathed, it was so painful. It was so painful. Only the breath, it was so painful. So that went on for a long time, and the truth is that I hated my life. I said, what is wrong? But inside of me, I knew that because of being rebellious to God's word and what God was telling me, this has caused all these things to happen to me. So even that, I said, no, I will stay around. I had some people working in the business, so many times I could be at home, but going through that, like as a mad person walking, touching the head, but inside me, my inside life was understandable. I don't know whether I can be understood. That my outward appearance, my head was paining me so much because of the other hand, and even the breath that was coming out of me was like dead. It had no life. But through that pain and that scratching, I lost the memory and was like a mad person walking, not knowing what to do, what is next. So after time, one day somebody brought me a big bag as a gift. Then when this sister brought me a big bag as a gift, I didn't know for what to use. I put the bag in the house. So in the morning, I had a voice. I had left the house, and I was in the trading center. I had a voice, and this voice said, Israel, leave this place and go. So I had go.
Was it an audible voice or an inner voice?
Yeah, audible voice.
Okay.
And I was living far from our main capital city. Our capital city is Kampala. So I was like 130 kilometers far from Kampala. So I was living in another city.
Can I ask another question to the voice? How was the noise of the voice? How did it sound? Can you describe it?
It was like, as you can hear a voice in your ears, like, Israel, leave this place and go.
Was it a dark voice or a lighter voice?
Like a lighter voice that you can hear. And that one I replied, where? Like that. Because like somebody was speaking at the back of my life, but I could not know. But I said, where? Like that. So, and from...
We're 120 kilometers away from Kampala.
Yeah, I was far from like 120 kilometers from Kampala, our capital city. So I was in the western part of Uganda, and another small town where I was doing that business. So when I had that voice, I came back home, and I don't know by that time, because I had lost the mind, but I remembered somebody had given me a big bag. Then I said, maybe I leave this town and I go somewhere else. Maybe I will get relief. Maybe I'll get better. That voice, I got that understanding inside of me. So when I was reaching the house, the voice came back And I felt somebody speaking in my back, like at my back, that Israel, leave this place and go. And I replied, where? Like that.
It was the same voice.
The same voice that now the second time. So now I went inside. I got that bag. I put some of the clothes I saw and I packed it very well. So now I went and waited for the public means, for the taxi. So as I stood like this, the voice came the third time. Israel, leave this place and go. I said, where? And then I had, go to Prayer Mountain. You know, there is a Prayer Mountain for World Trumpet Mission. It's as you go to the airport from Kampala to the airport of Entebbe. So now I had to travel all the way from that town, 120 kilometers to Kampala. Then I get the direction to the Prayer Mountain. And I said, the Prayer Mountain? Doing what? So the voice is not speaking to me again. So I said, okay, let me board the taxi and I go there. So that was then me inside speaking. Because of the outward situation that I was going through, I said maybe I'll be healed from there. Even this smell which was coming out of me, that people could not come near me because I was smelling badly, and even what had happened to my brain.